So wanted to show you what Quartzsite traffic looks like at 2 in the afternoon. And this is January the 13th, 2024. We're a week out from the start of the Big Tent show, exactly a week. It'll be a week from today, January 20th. And this is the week before, during. I think it's safe to say that those are the busiest 2 weeks every winter, and we're in it. We're in the busiest couple of weeks. It's an exciting time in Quartzsite, and when you stay here for the season, you look forward to it, and it's a lot of fun while everybody's here. But by the end of it, by the end of January, you're ready for a little peace and quiet. I mentioned this many times, but my friend, Adventuring with Amanda, you should check out her YouTube channel. She says they can tell how busy it is in Quartzsite by how long it takes you to make a left-hand turn in Quartzsite on Main Street. In particular, I think she means on West Main in particular. We're on West Main right now, and it doesn't look that bad right now, but I tell you, the past few times I've been into town, I've had to make a left onto West Main in this stretch here. I've had to wait quite a while, so I think her test is valid. We're just passing Solar Bills, and I just had a very successful interview with the owner of Solar Bills. His name's Gus. Gus and his wife bought Solar Bills from Bill 2 years ago, and by all accounts has been doing very well. So I have a video out on that that I'll stick at the end of this one, so you can take a look at that. And yeah, I've seen the traffic worse, let me say that. I've seen it much worse. I remember the first time I ever came to Quartzsite, and I'm pulling my trailer, having no idea where to go. I was trying to find Skadden Wash, and it was really busy. It was very stressful. But it probably seemed that way only because I'm pulling a trailer. Didn't have a lot of experience at the time pulling a trailer, and never been to Quartzsite before. So I'll add all that together. Just past the Pilot and McDonald's. If you want to go to McDonald's, my suggestion is you download the app and buy things that are on special in the app. Otherwise, you might be a little disappointed in how much it costs you. But there's still plenty of deals to be had on the McDonald's app. So you might want to check that out. Gonna cut this off here because all I'm doing is coming up here and buying some drinking water. My favorite drinking water place by the Burger King in Mobile Station. It's 4 quarters, and you get reliably 6 gallons. Okay, I got my excuse me. I got my water, and I'm headed over to Tyson Wells to show you what things are like there on this Saturday before the Big Tent event. It should be pretty lively over there. Dottie's coming with us. And we'll see. We could go either way here. We could make a left to go to Tyson Wells, or make a right. I'd rather go left and show you that kind of back way in. And the traffic is looking good right now to do that. Well, Amanda, if you're watching this, it must not be very busy in Quartzsite this year, because here I am, I'm making a left without stopping. That's not really fair. I swear the other day, it felt like 10 minutes I had to wait to make a left-hand turn. Probably wasn't 10 minutes, but it sure felt like it. All right. We are going to make a left here. We're going to cross over I-10. And we're going to come into Tyson Wells on Kuhn Street in the kind of the back way over by Love's. Love's will be on the right as we cross the bridge. And if you make a right and you go past Love's and go a little further, you'll get to RV Lifestyles. I've got two very popular videos on that RV supply store. Their service, their customer service, and their prices have impressed me, and they impress many, many other people. So I'm always a little scared that I'm about to get onto the interstate when I make this left here, but that's not what's happening. It just looks so official. So this is the west end of Kuhn Street. It's K-E-U-H-N, Kuhn Street. Lots of little flea market places on the right here. I've never actually, and then rocks and gems and all kinds of things in there. I've never been back there. And now there's a whole lot of nothing on Kuhn Street until we get actually to crossing actual Tyson Wash. We will be in Tyson Wells. And that'll probably be obvious when you see that. And we're not going to drive through it, we're going to walk through it because the parking lot comes first. And I have little illusions that I'll be able to get a parking space on the Kuhn Street. Not today. You see a stretch here, it looks tempting to park here, but there are no parking signs everywhere. And here's a little bit of a traffic jam. Here we go. This is the Quartzsite I know and love. The Quartzsite traffic jam. Here we are. Now everything is right with the world. You think this is crowded? Wait till the big tent opens next week, next Saturday. This is nothing. This is what I view as the main parking lot. Be up on the left here, and that's where we're going to go in. And I'm used to, we're pretty far from Interstate 10, and during peak time like this, I'm used to having to pull my truck all the way down through the parking lot, almost all the way to I-10. So we'll see if that's the case today. But patience is the name of the game in Quartzsite, especially the next 2 weeks. If you don't have patience, you're gonna be pretty frustrated, I would say. Oh yeah, I see plenty of cars parked right by the interstate down there, so it'll probably be us. Yep, this is classic Tyson Wells during the Big Tent week. Classic. Well, looks like this guy's leaving, and this little blue Audi in front of me is going to get lucky. It's going to get a nice little spot there. Good for them. And we're going to be parking way back here, and that's okay because it's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's a nice day for a walk for me and Dottie. Now, it could be it's all full back here, but that'd be a little surprising. But it's not. We have a big little spot right here. Big wide one, Dottie, for you and me. Look at this. Very nice, but I told you it's going to be near the interstate. I called it. Didn't I, Dottie? All right, we're going to switch to the GoPro. We'll see you as soon as we're on our feet. Well, it would have been really nice if you were looking at some really great GoPro footage of walking through Tyson Wells, but I had an incorrect setting on my GoPro, and all the footage was totally wasted. It's unwatchable. Sorry for that. I will get out here again this week before the Big Tent, and then certainly during the Big Tent show. But today was kind of a bust for that. But I'm going to drive all the way through Tyson Wells here and kind of poke around as much as I can in the car to show you what's going on. It's funny, I sat in the car and I downloaded everything, and I uploaded it to my phone and looked at it, and it was terrible. I have a special extra lens modification on my GoPro, and if you don't set it so you have the modification, it looks through the lens anyway, and it looks like a big fisheye, and it looks just absolutely terrible if it isn't set correctly, and it wasn't set correctly. So here we go. We'll go all the way down Keene Street. You know what? I was gonna maybe sneak into by where Beer Bellies is, but I feel like it'll inconvenience a lot of people trying to walk and get in and out. I'll just wait until I can get some walk through here again. And I would go back and do it again, but Dottie got pretty hot and a little winded. This gives you. Let's do a little bit wider view. How's that sound? Passing the kitchen gadget store. It's K&K Kitchen Supply. It's always a nice idea to let people cross in front. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic here. This place, Madagascar Import Seam, minerals and fossils from Madagascar. It's always, they're there every year. It's always fascinated me. You can get minerals and fossils from Madagascar here in Quartzsite, Arizona. This sign down here on the right fascinates, has been fascinating for weeks. Table legs for sale, $6 each. It seems a little odd to have a separate sign out there for table legs. Kind of, you would need to have a table that doesn't currently have legs. Okay. All right. We're going to go back through town, because Travels with Dottie is hungry. I'm going to buy myself a hamburger and spoil myself a little bit. Buy a hamburger, take it home, and have that for dinner tonight. It's 3:30. What do you think about that, Dottie? Dottie. Dottie's a little tired. We walked a really long time. Oh, all that footage that was wasted. You know, when you make videos, that stuff happens. Sometimes you make a beautiful video and you discover there's no sound. And sometimes you can save it by narrating over it, but if you're looking into the camera with your face talking, it's pretty hard to narrate over that. Unless you're really, really good at remembering exactly what you said and syncing the lips. So, you know, the way I would have seen it had I been holding the GoPro up like in my hand in front of me, but I wasn't. It was hanging around my neck on a little contraption that holds it on my chest, so my hands are free. But doing it that way, I can't see the screen, and I just didn't pay attention. So we're gonna hit Carl's Jr. for a hamburger today. Which is all the way at the end of West Main Street here, and then we're gonna go straight home. It's funny to say that home, you know, home for me is, for the winter, is Quartzsite, Arizona, my little spot in LaPosa South. I guess my real home is Pahrump, Nevada. That's my home base. And I'll be going back to Pahrump as soon as it starts getting warm here in the desert. Late winter, early spring, depending on the weather. Be headed up to Pahrump for quite a while, probably. There's a lot to love about Pahrump. It's a small town, but it's got everything you might want in it, like the Home Depot and a Walmart and restaurants and things like that. Yet, and it's only about an easy hour drive to Death Valley National Park. So it's a pretty remote place. On the other hand, if you drive an hour in the opposite direction, you will find yourself in the heart of Las Vegas. Isn't that great? That you can go one way and be in one of the most desolate places in the United States, and you go an hour in the other direction, and you're in Las Vegas. And not that I'm a big gambler or anything or love going to Las Vegas, but I do like having my home base near. There are a lot of resources in Las Vegas. In particular, there are great medical resources in Las Vegas. So I'm very comfortable being there. There's some Tesla charging stations. We determined that there are about a couple hundred Tesla charging stations in Quartzsite, and someone posted on there, that's very suspicious. It's not suspicious. If you look at I think the average distance an electrical vehicle can travel is 250 miles, and the number one city in the country for electrical vehicles is Los Angeles, and it's 248 miles from Los Angeles here, so it starts making a little bit of sense. Hang on, I'll be right back after I order. I'm back, and you're seeing me instead of the road. I'm still in line getting my hamburger at Carl's Jr. Roll up the window so you don't have to listen to that very loud engine. So I was saying how it makes perfect sense that there would be a ton of EV charging stations here in Quartzsite, and the person posting had all sorts of conspiracy theory ideas that, you know, nomads were going to be banned from Quartzsite because they were going to put up condos and luxury homes, and I don't know what he was thinking. But trust me, it makes perfect sense. There are a lot of charging stations in Quartzsite. You know, who knows what the future of electric vehicles are? I haven't looked into it in detail, but I've seen resources that talk about does the country, or really the planet, have the electrical infrastructure to support an all-electric vehicle society? And I guess there's some doubt that we do have the infrastructure for that. So I don't know for sure. I've heard about the discussions, and I haven't watched anything or read anything yet on that. But it's interesting. Battery technology seems to be progressing, and there was really not much of a change in many, many decades. You know, when I first got into RVing, it was the very beginning of lithium, and there were lead acid batteries and AGM batteries, but lithium was a game changer, you know, and you know, you can, they charge faster, they discharge more efficiently, meaning like a lead acid battery, you only are supposed to use 50% of the capacity, or you can damage the battery. With lithium, theoretically, you can use the whole thing. So a 100 amp lithium battery is basically twice that of a 100 amp AGM or lead acid battery. Did have some battery experience many, many years ago. is I was just out of college. I was working for a consulting firm, and we worked with businesses that were having difficulties. And one of the businesses, and they're long since gone, but it was a battery manufacturer outside Boston called Keystone Battery. And their meat and potatoes were like forklift batteries or golf cart batteries, big lead acid batteries. So before I go back to the Keystone Battery, I wanted to mention that you hear a lot in Quartzsite about people feeling like the meals are too expensive, everything's too expensive. Let me just tell you that here at Carl's Jr., I bought a sourdough hamburger with cheese, and with tax it was $7.66, so not so bad. Anyway, back to the Keystone Battery story. Now, I was right out of college, so I was working with this client, but I certainly wasn't in charge of the client. I was very green, and I was working for a guy named Steve Gray. And Steve had been doing this kind of work for decades at this point. So he was mentoring me and teaching me. And with these businesses in financial trouble, one of the first obvious problems is cash. They need cash. And one of the first things he noticed going out to their plant is, I hadn't thought about this until now, but I'm imagining they were taking batteries back from people they sold them to as they wore out and sell them new ones, a trade-in or something. But the result was their whole the back part of the facility was just a sea of old lead acid batteries. And he asked the owner, he said, he goes, you can sell lead. It has value. And he goes, yeah, I know. But I'm waiting for the price to go up. And he goes, oh, okay. How long you been waiting? 7 years. So that was the way we were able to generate cash pretty quickly, even though it wasn't probably at the price per pound that he preferred for the lead. And the other thing was I found this fascinating. So they actually manufactured these giant batteries, and Steve noticed also they had a reasonable revenue stream from car starting batteries. And he looked at it and he noticed the markup was pretty good. Everything looked good in it, but the volume wasn't that great. And he asked about it. He said, well, we don't really, pay much attention to selling those because we don't really make those batteries. It's like, really? What do you do? He said, well, we buy generic starting batteries from Interstate Battery. And if you know anything about batteries, that's probably the biggest, I'd say probably the biggest battery company in the country. It certainly was then. And they would get big shipments into the starting batteries, and they would slap on the Keystone Battery logo sticker on them and send them out and sell them. So they basically had very little labor. It was just slapping a sticker on and mailing them out, or shipping them out to the customers. And so they were able to capitalize on that because they were known for these big, like, forklift and golf cart batteries, but the markup was not that great and the volume wasn't that great. So that was a couple of things that I'm not going to say it turned the business around. I don't think they ever really recovered. It was a family-owned business, and I don't really think their heart was completely in it. But that's my battery story. And so I was just out of college, so that would have been the early 80s, like let me think. Yeah, 1982, 1983. I did that. I loved working for that consulting firm because every client it was a different adventure. I remember one was an injection molding company, and injection molding is, you know, these machines that create pieces of plastic by injecting molten plastic into a machine, and what comes out is a piece of plastic. And they were making medical grade like containers and bottles and things like that. So it was pretty interesting to, you know, go on the factory floor and try to understand what they were doing, why they were doing it, figuring it out, costs, and it was interesting. Another company was making flatware, you know, knives and forks, and they would stamp those things out on sheets of metal. Another one was a furniture manufacturer. And keep in mind, this was outside of Boston. And for years, there was a lot of furniture manufacturing in Boston, and particularly around the turn of the century. Not this century, the one before. And it's since moved to the Carolinas, and a couple stayed, and this is one that stayed, and they didn't do too well. I don't remember much in the particulars with that one, but the one that really makes me smile is our firm was designated the trustee in bankruptcy for a small business called Captain Video. And I remember thinking, it was a video rental store, just not a chain, a single store. And said, what a great name for a video store, Captain Video. So that was interesting. Anyway, I will do better on getting some Tyson Wells footage for you, and I'll be more careful next time. But that's going to be today. That's going to be today's video. I guess there's more than one today. I ran into a guy, and I got to take it out of the record. Well, it's not in the recording because I had the lens problem. But he had noted that I saw your video this morning, and I said, well, yeah, I guess I had a couple of them this morning. Well, better to have more than one than none, right? So we're getting home pretty soon here, and we'll have our dinner, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to end the video here. You know what, guys? I ended the video, but I'm going to unend it because I thought it's getting so busy that you might want to see what LaPosa South looks like. So I'm going to take the long way into camp, and I'm going to have you take a look. See what we see how busy it is. It's always kind of interesting to see all the different kinds of RVs, home, custom made and older and newer and vans and all kinds of different things. I think it's fascinating. So I'm going to turn this baby around and let you see, because I am pulling into LaPosa South right now. And there we go. For those of you that aren't regular, this is LaPosa South, long-term visitor area. This is where I camp. And up here on the right is the little shack there where you pay your permit. There are two kinds of permits to camp here. One is for 2 weeks, it's $40. One is for the whole season, which runs September 15th through April 15th, and it's $180. It's part of the Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, and there's BLM land all around Quartzsite where you don't have to pay anything. But you can stay for 14 days for free, then you have to move. Anyway, here you can stay in the same spot the whole season, or the whole well, obviously the whole 2 weeks if you get a 2-week permit, but you also get access to dumpsters and fresh water, drinking water, and black and gray water dump station, which on regular BLM land, you don't have those facilities, and you got to kind of figure out how to deal with that stuff on your own. Right here on the right, you see this white tank. This is what they call the Blue Boy dump station. No RVs allowed. So what that means is people have these plastic containers, and it allows up to 35 gallons, where you put your waste in that container and take it to that dump station and dump it. And people have them in the back of their pickup truck. Some people, they have wheels on them, and I've seen people on e-bikes pulling them. And it's called the Blue Boy because originally the first company that came up with the idea of having these things, they were blue and they were called Blue Boys. But like companies like Camco got into it, and probably the most popular one now is a gray one, with an orange handle. That's what you see most of the time. There are a few Blue Boys around, but they're few and far between these days. Why do I mention that? It's called the Blue Boy Station because of that old tradition of the Blue Boy. But there's a volunteer that sits there and makes sure that the people that come in, one, have a permit, and two, that reminds me, if you do drag your thing there by your e-bike, you better have a copy or a receipt or something for your permit, because you need a permit to dump there. But if you come up and you're dumping your Camco gray thing, the guy will walk up and says, "You can't do that. That's not blue." And you'll think he's serious at first, but it's a sense of humor. And he says it to me every time. And this time I kidded him back. I said, "So what are you going to do about it?" And he said, "Not much, seeing as I'm colorblind." Oh, look at this homemade RV on the right there. It looks like it's just a little wooden cabin with a little chimney and everything. It looks great. Wow. I hope you got to see that clearly. So there's, to the left is the dumpsters, and to the right where those cones are, that's the dump station. And we're going to turn here and head back to camp. Let's see what other interesting rigs. I see a school bus right in front of us here. They call them schoolies. People buy retired school buses and they turn them into RVs. And some of them quite extensively, and they're a reliable vehicle and a well-built vehicle. And as well as ambulances. You'll see a lot of people buy retired ambulances and turn them into RVs. Again, it's usually on a pretty heavy-duty chassis, and the box, that's what they call the back of the ambulance. The box is designed for very serious business, life-saving. So they're very, very well made, very well insulated. They come with built-in cabinetry, and it's Bob Wells with Cheap RV Living lives in a beautiful ambulance that he's converted into an RV. You see, every once in a while, you'll see people with enormous solar panel arrays. There's a guy we passed back there, and I didn't think to mention it, that he's got to have, I'd say, at least 4,000 watts of tilted solar panels on top of his Class A, and that is just enormous. And he's got what they call a mini split. You can see it attached to the back of his rig, which is a energy efficient way to do air conditioning and heat pumping. So someone with that much solar is going to have a pretty big battery bank as well. Which reminds me is, when we were pulling up to Carl Jr., I was talking about, it was batteries. And now I can get back on that topic. Lithium batteries was kind of a game changer, but there's what they're calling solid state batteries now, and what they're talking about is a battery that is a tenth the size of a lithium battery, but the same power. If you can sort of wrap your head around that. In much more efficient charging and more efficient discharging. So I would, probably when solid state batteries come out, I think first they're going to come out probably in electric vehicles, and then be available to the public. And they'll be very expensive, just like the best you can do on a lithium battery. When I got my first one was, I think, $900 for a Battleborn 100 amp hour battery. And my most recent purchase was a 200 amp hour lithium battery that it was about $400. So prices have come down, but in the beginning they're going to be high. Anyway, I wanted to bring you through LaPosa South on the busy day, and so you can see the interesting rigs and how busy it is. And as we approach this cluster, look at this fairly big cluster of RVs we're approaching is the last exit camp. It's our camp, and which is really cool. Look at all these rigs here. They're all my friends. It is, that's pretty exciting. And guess what? I think Deborah Dickinson and Frugal RV Gal are in camp. That's what I think. And let's go to high magnification and see if we're right. And you know what? That's definitely Frugal RV Gal holding up the peace sign. Let's back it off a little bit so we can get everybody in the picture. So, you guys, Dubs, you guys are on camera because and I've got the microphone here. Oh. So I was doing a YouTube video, and I say, this is the camp where I am, and I was like, but that rig, wait a minute, hang on.
Looks familiar.
Yeah.
I know, I was like, I don't really know where they are, so I tracked you down. I saw you leave.
How you doing?
Good.
And come
I've
back
seen you guys when I'm
following.
going out that way, and I looked over here, and I was like, how the hell do I get over there? So we saw you, and we saw that you turned off, and I was like, oh, I've never noticed that road.
Yeah,
nobody notices that.
Look, can you believe how big the camp is?
Know.
Yeah, it's huge.
I was watching your video this morning when you were walking around, and nobody was up.
Well, we were.
Said, yeah, I was up.
Well, it's cold. People are inside.
Yeah.
You got you a clam too?
Yeah. Well, it's not really a clam. It's a Coleman.
Oh,
This one.
This black
Yeah.
one.
yeah. Okay.
Cool.
And it's got a floor.
I didn't even think about you being gone.
I bought me a
Didn't even look for your truck.
I gave Joey my other one.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see it.
And I thought, well, I'm going to have to walk over there.
Last season.
Last season. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Hey, Gertie. How's Gertie? I know I can't reach through the fence because you'll bite me. But if I'm on that side, you'll kiss me. What's that all about? Gertie.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Where's Barb?
The world of difference is being able to stand up. I was looking for a different.
Where's Barb?
She went to Yuma, and she said if she didn't get done in time, she'd be spending the night.
Oh, okay.
I talked to this guy today, and he was riding one of these electric bike trikes. And I said, well, that sounds like a pretty cool idea. And I stopped him and talked to him and asked him about it and everything. And he said that, well, it folds, but it doesn't fold.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so he puts it in the back of his truck. Well, truck means trailer.
Right.
Yep.
So now I'm thinking maybe
and
I have to
trailer.
get a trailer in the truck.
Well, and there's
Oh,
just
I
pros
need to
and
ask you about
cons
that.
of,
To everything.
of every unit.
There
And
is.
that's, you can say the pros of the C is this and the cons of a C is that. Pros of a truck camper.
I'm going to turn off the recording.
And the,
Thank you.